Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's a joy to be here together. We are just getting started. So if you're just joining, welcome, welcome, welcome. Whether you've been with us week after week or you're just joining for the first time, a warm welcome to all of us coming together in this moment in time. My name is Antoinette, and I am here in New York, just north of the city. And we are hosting Women Together Connect, and it is just such a joy to see. I'm just looking through the gallery. It's just such a joy to see all of us coming together and seeing all the bright faces. And yeah, wonderful. So welcome to all. For those of you, I love these, like I'm in hot and humid Philadelphia, and greetings from sticky New Jersey. So yes, for those of us in the Northeast, we have been in heat waves and humidity. But it's a joy to just come together and be just with one another and take this time for ourselves in whatever way we need to. So a warm welcome to all. And for those who need a cool welcome, a cool welcome to you as well. So I'll give you a little background and share for those of you who may be new for Women Together Connect. You can just be putting your location and a little hello in the chat, whether you're on Zoom or you're on YouTube. It's just a way for us to connect with one another and start the conversation. The whole point of these ways of coming together and connecting is really to allow us to connect more deeply with ourselves and with each other. And really at a time where we just need to be connected more than ever before, and really hearing each other's perspectives and just providing a space to listen to one another and to listen to ourselves can be so powerful and important. I know for me, especially as you know, the weather's been changing and I've been kind of in my own space, I just have felt it's how crucial it is to be more connected to myself and my own intuitive voice. And I think that's really what Eileen was hoping for when starting Women Together. And a few years ago, we started these live in-person events, and we were doing them in person and online in sort of a hybrid model preceding the COVID pandemic. And then when that started to happen, we started gathering in this way online and in this virtual community. And it just sort of built upon what we were already doing, which is just giving a practice space and a space where we can. Eileen Fisher is a clothing designer, if you didn't know that, and she not only makes clothing that we can feel comfortable and confident in our bodies in, but also gives us this space to go deeper and to go just beyond the clothing layer into who we are and a sense of freedom. So it's wonderful to be together in this continuous journey and to just share with one another and to come back to our own space, but together. So I think we're all fairly in. One of the little things that we do are tiny practices, and those are really ways that just throughout any part of the day, at any time, we just develop a tiny practice that we can come back to, take a breath, find a sense of peace, a sense of home, a sense of being in the body, being in ourselves, and operate from that place rather than only operating from a reactionary place or a place coming from the mind and what we kind of think we want. I saw an Elizabeth Gilbert quote this morning about we think that we don't want to surrender because we want to maintain control. And the reality is that the only thing that we're not letting go of is anxiety. So, and for many of us, that looks a lot of different ways. So I think that's really what we're doing here, is just releasing a little bit, letting go, finding the tiny practices throughout the day that allow us to be okay when things are just in an uncertain moment. So it's wonderful to be together, and we'll just do a little moment of stillness. And this month we've been doing practices with some of the teachers in our own community. And I will introduce Debra, who's with us today. But it's been really wonderful to get the voices of Those of us who have been taking part in this Women Together community in different ways, and have different friendships and have been building that, and then hear from one another what our practices are and ways that we can go deeper based on what others have learned. So we'll do a little moment of stillness, which is a first tiny practice of the day. And then I'll invite us into a short meditation that will lead us into the connection with Debra, who will share her practices with us. So the invitation for a moment of stillness, I have a little singing bowl, and you can just find a comfortable seat. We keep these singing bowls in the Eileen Fisher conference rooms, but now they're all over the house. And so just finding at any moment in time a transition between a meeting, any time that we just need a breath or a sense of relaxation, coming back to the body. So the way that we can do that is to just, if you can, get both feet flat on the ground, feeling a connection to earth. And you can close your eyes or lower your gaze if that feels comfortable for you. And just feel the breath moving in and out of the body. And I notice that as soon as I start focusing on the breath, it deepens. So if that's true for you, just follow the breath inwards. Continue to follow that breath in and out. And in this moment of stillness, the invitation is to just think back to a time when you felt safe and deeply connected to others, as if that was happening for you right now. And just noticing what you see. Perhaps there's a sound or a smell, something that you can sense, maybe even a taste from that moment where you feel safe and deeply connected to others. And just noticing that feeling and staying with that for this moment of stillness. I'll ring the chime to bring us in and ring the chime to bring us back. Thank you for taking that moment together. I always find that's a really lovely way to just come into the self, but also come into this connection and this space and setting the tone for being together. And thank you to Debra, who is here with us and invited us to think about this kind of moment of safety and reliving this moment of safety and connection. And the invitation for right now is to put in the chat or in the comment box, which if you're on Zoom is right at the bottom of the screen. It says chat, and then you can click on that and it'll open up the conversation. And you can just type into the chat directly. What was it that you experienced? What happens perhaps in the mind or in the body when you go to that kind of safe place, and just kind of being with that. How does it feel for you? So we'll just give you a few moments to type that into the chat, and we'll read a few of those out before we introduce and hand it over to Debra, who will work with us around a lot of those pieces. Warm like honey from Leslie. Thank you. Self-aware, relaxing, calm, peaceful, sense of stillness, mindful, a deeper connection to self and the world, alive, spaceless, an immediate smile, a kind of embrace, an unconscious peace. Yeah, and for some of us, the time and place that I recalled no longer exists, trying to find a way to bring back those feelings of safety and happiness. Yes. Yeah, something that we all need now. And thinking of my great-grandmother and grandmother together. Beautiful. These are absolutely beautiful. So thank you so much for sharing with us. And beautiful. Just to have that exploration, that sense of awareness is a great place to begin. So we have Debra with us today, who will take us deeper into this journey. And Debra she's a licensed psychologist, she's a meditation teacher, she's a yoga therapist, and she's a leader in mindfulness and polyvagal theory. And I will say that Eileen has, we've kind of always discussed the polyvagal theory and kind of what's actually possible by going into this connection actually within the body. And within this mindfulness practice. And so as Eileen has been sharing some of the practices that have worked for her with the company and, more with the public as we're doing here, when Debra approached us and said, hey, are you interested in this content? It was like, that's exactly, we have these conversations internally all the time. So it's wonderful to have you here with us, Debra. I'm so glad that you've been part of the community for as long as you have been, and I look forward to diving in further to the practice with you today. So over to you. You're on mute, Debra, I think. Let's see if we can get you off mute. There you go.
Are we good? Right. Hello, everyone. I'm just so pleased to be here with you today. I have taken so much from these wonderful Women Together Connect events that I'm pleased to be able to share some things that have steadied and grounded me during this unique time in our history. I wanted to, first of all, talk just a little bit about safety and connection. There's a theory, the polyvagal theory, that's also the science of safety and connection. And it really talks about the way in which our emotions and our autonomic nervous system are connected and the things that influence our autonomic nervous system. One of the primary ways that our autonomic nervous system is influenced is through something called the vagal nerve, the largest cranial nerve in the body, that starts at the very base of the skull and it travels through the throat to the heart. And then a second branch continues down to the digestive system, and it touches on all the major organs in our digestive systems. And this is a mind-body perspective on the autonomic nervous system. It informs us as to how we also affect each other's nervous systems and can co-regulate each other's nervous systems. So it fits in so well with what we're doing here with Women Together Connect. The theory and its application suggests that we can create a more resilient nervous system that will help us move through these autonomic states more easily. Attuned relationships are one of the keys. There are also a number of other ways that we can create a more resilient nervous system. We can create that more resilient nervous system in part through movement, through meditation, through the words we say to ourselves, through the face-to-face connection that we have with other people. Singing and voice also creates a wonderful way to positively influence our nervous system. Influencing our nervous system, having it be more resilient, allows us to be more responsive to the events that are a part of our lives. And in addition to being more, along with being more responsive, it means less reactive. I wanted to talk briefly about the 3 nervous system states. And these nervous system states, I adapted the wording from Debra, who also writes about the polyvagal nerve. So let's go to the second slide, Itty. Great, thank you. So there are 3 nervous system states. This is a departure from the 2 that we've typically heard about, the sympathetic, the parasympathetic. So one is a sense of safety. And this sense of safety is notable when we're feeling at ease, a sense of empowerment, that deep felt sense that we belong and we're deeply connected. It's also a sense of I can manage what comes my way. Now, a defense state we are all familiar with as well, and we may have been experiencing this more during the pandemic. We might feel frantic and overwhelmed, or anxious and irritated. There might also be a sense of being mobilized, ready for action. The world might seem dangerous and chaotic. There's been much more danger for us as we've moved through this pandemic. There may be other moments when we have a sense of collapse, or shutdown. We might feel alone or numb, or we might feel, oh my goodness, I just can't handle this anymore. A feeling of despair, maybe a sense of carrying too much on our shoulders. The world may seem really cold and unfriendly. So a brief shorthand for these states would be safety state, I am. Here I am. I'm embodied, I'm connected to other people, I belong. A defense state might be feeling defensive, feeling angry, fearful, mobilized for action. I can. And then the collapse state, I can't. I just can't anymore. So let's talk about some practices that not only can shift us from one state to another, these practices can also help to strengthen or tone the vagal nerve, making our nervous system more resilient to the ups and downs that life presents. Some of you may know the Lujai breath. This is this third slide, or the ocean sounding breath. And I would invite you to move into a posture, and I'll guide you through this. I wanted you to have slides so that later you could go back to these practices if you like. And I'll bet these will be on YouTube. Is that right, Antoinette? Yep. Okay. Thank you. So this Ujjayi breath is going to stimulate the vagal nerve because there are so many connections around the throat. When we perform this Ujjayi breath, when we practice this Ujjayi breath, our entire vagal nerve is stimulated. Okay, Also, when we take deep breaths, we're stimulating the vagal nerve. We see our belly expand in front of us, but it's also expanding towards the back. That diaphragm is expanding and stimulating the vagal nerve from the back as well. So if you're feeling a little bit jittery or you're feeling overwhelmed or even a little shut down, these breaths could be of help. So let's try that Ujjayi breath. First, finding a posture that's alert yet relaxed. Bringing awareness to the soles of the feet as a point of grounding. And noticing the sensations on the feet from the floor. With any differences in sensation from right to left foot or from the front to the back of the feet. And becoming aware of the connection with Mother Earth beneath, who supports our every step. Aligning the ankles and the knees, following the line from the knees to the sits bones, and creating space between each of the vertebral bodies from the base of the spine to the base of the skull. As you next inhale, drawing the shoulders forward and up, exhale, rolling them down and back. And you may want to take a few shoulder circles. And then reversing the direction, inhaling the shoulders back and up, rolling them down and forward. And allowing the shoulder girdle to release. Gently lifting the crown of the head and allowing the body to soften, trusting that the skeletal system will support you. And when you're ready, allowing the eyes to open. And we'll move into the breath. This first part is just a teaching strategy, and then we'll practice the actual breath. If you would, bring the palm up in front of the mouth. And as you exhale, imagine that you're fogging up a window. So you'll be making a soft sound with the throat. And notice the way that the throat is, what's happening in the throat as you make that sound. And then float the palm to the lap, close the mouth, breathe in through the nose, and as you exhale, see if you can still make that sound. So softly that if there were a yogi next to you, they wouldn't hear it. So you're making the ocean sound. Silent breaths through the nose, slowly and evenly. Exhale, ocean sound or Ujjayi breath. And after the next exhalation, return the breath to normal and open the eyes. Interestingly, this breath has been included on a study that was done after the Asian tsunami for individuals who are experiencing trauma. It was included based on yogic history, that this breath gives us a sense of clarity and focus, but it's also calming. So we can see how it might be very useful when we're feeling traumatized, as many of us have in these recent months. I also noted down at the bottom a YouTube that does a good job of teaching this. If you want to go back and look at that later, you'll be able to review it. I'd like us to move into a meditation. This meditation is called I Am, or So Hum. This would be the fourth slide. And for this meditation, let's form a posture, once again, that's alert yet relaxed. And find the posture for this moment, seeing if there's a way to allow the body to find what feels right now. And that might be sitting on the floor, or it might be seated in a chair with the spine long yet relaxed. And then bring the awareness to the breath. And you may notice that the breath has already begun to deepen and lengthen. This is a mantra meditation, and it affirms our living, breathing presence. Just as we said that state of safety is a state of I am, this meditation connects with I am. So as you next inhale, silently or aloud if you like, saying to yourself, I, exhaling, am. I am. I am. I am. I am. And trying the Sanskrit, inhaling so, hum, so, hum, so, hum, so, hum. Continuing with the mantra. And we can, if you like, opening the eyes, we can add some movement to this. I call this the butterfly. So beginning with the palms on the chest, underneath the collarbone, or even over the heart. And as you next inhale, opening the wings, I, and closing, am. I am. I am. So, hum. So, hum. So, hum. So, hum. And as you conclude your exhalation, floating the hands to the lap and opening the eyes, just noticing any shifts in mind and body as a result of these tiny practices. I wanted to add one more practice to this set of tiny practices and to do a little journaling around that tiny practice. Michelle, bright, almost asleep. Ah, Michelle, feel free to stand up and stretch. In fact, let's do this. This is another tiny practice from polyvagal to strengthen that vagal nerve and also move us into safety and connection. If you would bring the arms above the head, interlace the fingers and gently press the palms towards the sky. Inhale deeply and exhale with a big sigh. And feel free to repeat that if you need a little more movement. Are you waking up, Michelle? Hope so. Okay, yep, she's waking up. Thanks, Michelle. So I have an image here of, on this fifth slide, of my area where I am right now in Western North Carolina. And we see the mountains, we see the fog, we see the colors of fall in this image. And a deep bow to the artist who gave me permission to use this, Jim Valentine. So many of us, when we see the beauty of nature, experience awe. There's a sense of wonder with awe. And awe is a little different than a lot of the positive emotions in that it actually stimulates a sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system response, a relaxation response, a safety and connection shift. So if you would, consider for a moment ways in which you feel or have experienced awe. And if you would, even make a list of those. Maybe you were talking to someone who was especially compassionate or joyful or intelligent, or perhaps there are certain places in your surroundings that give you a sense of awe. So if you would do a little list, and feel free to add them in chat too. That's a good option. Someone said, Jean Moser to everyone, Brevard. Actually, it's in the Highlands, North Carolina area, but we're very close to Brevard. And then thank you for the time together to breathe and to appreciate the beauty of nature near Asheville, about an hour and a half from Asheville. Living in the desert, sunrise, watching sunrises, Memorial Rose Garden, hummingbirds, being at the Pacific Ocean, bike riding in Central Park, looking at mountains, walking in the forest and mountains in Pacific Northwest, magnolia blooms at different stages. They are gorgeous. Machu Picchu, dragonflies, a calm beach day, listening to live music. There's so many here. These are beautiful. And they're inspiring, all the different ways that you experience awe. So if you would, consider for a moment the impact of awe. And it's something we can invoke deliberately, this sense of awe, this sense of having our nervous system shifted to safety and connection. One of my favorite ways to initiate awe is to walk outside and to look up at the tops of the trees and just breathe for a couple of minutes. That's a really good method. If you would, also jot down the last time you experienced awe when connecting with another person. I'll give an example. I had an opportunity to have lunch with Dr. Porges a few months ago, and his ability to be present and connect with every person in the room, even if it's a large room, was something that I found awesome. Mary Carol Rose said, "Making love." Wonderful. A friend's kindness spills over to whomever she's with children and grandchildren. Realization of spirit bringing us together at just the right time. FaceTiming with my grandson when he shares his ideas for his novels. Meeting Carl Lagerfeld. Meeting my good friend co-worker in person for the first time in months, socially distanced. Feel such camaraderie. Puppy dancing with the trees. Oh, so many there, writing morning pages. So if you would now check in with your mind and body and put in chat ways in which you've been impacted by hearing about other people's experiences of awe and connecting with your experiences of awe. How did the mind and body respond to awe for you? Is there a sensation in the body? Is the warmth in the chest? I have thrilled here. How much in common we have socially connects us. Calmer, less anxious, interested in personal investigation, lightness and relief, presence, telephone with friend, beautiful, being present. So if you, are we about years on that? And are we about time to shift gears?
Yes, and we had a little bit of trouble right at the end just hearing you. I thought it was just mine, but I think it's others too.
Okay.
But I think we just missed the last maybe 30 seconds of what you said.
Okay, the mic must have dropped out for a moment. I think what I said was check in with mind and body and notice the way that the mind and body are impacted by the experience of awe and by hearing about other people's experiences of awe. I noticed just a warmth in my face and in my upper chest as I work with you around awe.
Beautiful. Thank you, Deborah. So what we'll do is transition into having this conversation in the breakouts. So if you're in Zoom, we'll turn to each other and just kind of staying with that experience of feeling what it's like to experience awe. And I know that there are a few of us who are having a little bit of a like, oh my gosh, how do I even go back to that kind of experience in my mind? Wherever you are is wonderful. And that's exactly where you need to be. So hopefully you were able to make some kind of connection with it, and even just notice or a sense of awareness around where you are now. So if you're going into the Zoom rooms, you will just share your name, where you're coming from, recognizing that each of us has a totally different life experience. I said this last time, but we don't even know what we had for breakfast this morning. So there's no way we can know, other parts of our lives and what we might be carrying in. So just holding space for that and curiosity, and really listening generously to each other. So we'll make space. We'll do just about a 12-minute breakout. So we have a little bit of time at the end to hear some comments. If you're in YouTube, feel free to put comments at there. And we'll see you in the Women Together space. So womentogether.com/conversations to continue connecting there. But for now, enjoy your time in breakouts.